Hi, this is Teresa Momber. In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can create these fun French Flair coasters using tumbled tiles from your local home improvement store. Start by stamping the background image from the French Flair stamp set from Gina K Designs onto a tumbled tile using Stazon jet black ink. Be sure to press down very well when you stamp and let it soak in for just a minute before you remove the stamp. Re-ink the stamp and continue stamping all around until you've filled up the entire surface of the coaster. Depending on how dark your background image stamps, you may want to go over the surface using a sanding block or a piece of sandpaper to make the image lighter. Just be sure to let the ink dry before you do that. In this case, I did have some dark areas that I thought were too dark, particularly for the images I was planning to stamp over it, which are finer line art images. So I did use a sanding block to sand down the ink and get it all a little lighter, particularly the dark areas. After you've finished the backgrounds on your tumbled tiles, stamp both butterfly images from the French Flair stamp set onto sticky notes or scratch paper. Next, use scissors to cut out the butterfly images. And this time, when you're cutting out, you want to preserve the negative space because that's going to be your mask in this case. Stamp the butterfly images onto your tumbled tile coasters using Stazon jet black ink. And just a reminder, be sure whenever you're stamping on the tiles to leave the stamp in place, pressing down so it has plenty of time to soak up the ink. Now place your mask over the butterfly image. If your sticky note doesn't want to stick to the tile, just use a little bit of painter's tape or a piece of washi tape or something like that. Use a small sponge dauber to dab Stazon mustard ink onto the butterfly. Since the image is stamped with Stazon ink and you're using Stazon ink to sponge, you want to be sure to use a tapping motion rather than a swirling motion, or you might smear the image. We're using Stazon ink because it's color fast and won't smear when it's wet, so that's why it's important to use it for both the stamped image and the sponging. Switch to Stazon pumpkin ink and continue sponging, once again tapping the ink on rather than swirling, but this time focus mainly at the center of the butterfly. Sponging the darker color in the center will give your butterfly a little more dimension. Remove the first mask and then place the second mask over the smaller butterfly. Now repeat the same process of sponging for this smaller butterfly as you did on the larger. After completing the 2 butterflies, I decided I wanted a 3rd butterfly, so I stamped the small image again and again sponged using the same colors. For the next coaster, I used the fleur-de-lis image from the French Flair stamp set, once again stamping it onto my background using Stazon jet black ink. Once again, I created a mask from a sticky note and placed that over the stamped image. For this image, use Stazon pumpkin ink and sponge again, remembering to tap and not swirl. I also created a mask of the image itself, and I'm securing that in place. I also placed a sticky note across the side of the image just in case I extend beyond it when I do my stamping. Then I stamped the swirl image from the French Flair stamp set using Stazon olive green ink. Next, move the larger mask and then stamp the image again, once again using olive green ink. Then stamp the image one more time, just allowing a tiny portion of the image to extend beyond the mask. For the next tile, stamp the larger grape image from the French Flair stamp set using Stazon jet black ink. Once again, prepare a mask and place it over the image. Then sponge over the grapes using Stazon Royal Purple ink. Once again, be sure to tap and not swirl. Next, place a mask over the grapes only, leaving the leaves exposed, and then sponge over the leaves using Stazon Cactus green ink. To get a little bit of ink onto the stem of the grapes, I found that using 2 post-it notes and leaving a small area exposed between them was a good enough mask, and then just sponged lightly in that area. Now, once again, mask over the full image so that we can stamp the swirl using Stazon olive green ink. Then turn the image around and stamp a few more times. To complete your coasters, turn them over and add some self-adhesive felt circles. And these are something you can also find at your home improvement store. And since you used Stazon ink for the entire project, there's no need to seal the coasters. They'll be color fast even with condensation from beverages. And that completes today's video. Thanks for watching.